this video, we're going to look at how you do a basic retouch, a beginner retouch, and mostly we do a retouch on images or portraits to clean out imperfections and make them look a little bit more glamorous and usable. So here we are in Photoshop, and there are three ways of adding an image here. So the first one is you can always come to select or open, and this option gives you the ability to go to your computer, browse for an image and add it as an edit. The second option is you can always create a new document, and when you create a new document you get the opportunity to input the dimensions you'd like. For example, if I'm doing a social media image, it needs to be square, so I can input the same number of pixels on the width and on the height. So the third way is where you drag in the image you want into Photoshop, and that's what I'm going to do. I just drag it and drop it somewhere here, and the image will open. So the first thing you need to remember is before you retouch an image, you need to be clear of what the client wants. Some people don't like their photos being edited, others need it to be done lightly, others need it to be done on the overside or excessively. So that's something you need to know, which balance you're going to strike as you work on this image. So on this particular image, if we zoom in, I'm zooming in by pressing Alt and scroll. That's to zoom in and out. You notice that you have a number of imperfections on the skin, but before we go into that, I would like to adjust the lighting a little bit. So for a beginner, I would go to filter, then I would go to camera raw. So camera raw enables you to make minor light adjustments in a very simple way. So first one is the temperature. You can always make the picture warmer or cooler by switching this. I throw in some light by adding the exposure. I can add some darkness to the hair by reducing the blacks a little bit and maybe throw in some highlights to lighten the skin. Then I can throw in a little bit of saturation. So the other options, remember, are for you to explore, and again, these are personal preference. You can always edit the image to the specifications you want. Then I press OK. So we are back in Photoshop, and there's a little bit more light in the image. So if I'd like to clean these imperfections, the first thing I'll do is I'll press Ctrl J, that is to duplicate the layer, and I have a new layer here. You can even rename it and say this is the blemish layer, or this one you're going to clean up. You rename by just double clicking around where the name was. So there are three ways of removing these imperfections. The first one, and the simplest, is using a spot healing brush. So the spot healing brush is a brush which enables you to click on the imperfection and kind of just paint over it, then it disappears. It's like a magic trick there. So if I try again with these ones here, I can just click on one of these and that's how it disappears. So another way of doing the same thing is using the patch tool. So with the patch tool is I'll pick an imperfection, then I'll drag the imperfection to the place where the skin is clear. So as you're using it, you need to use areas where the skin tone is the same. For example, you cannot drag an imperfection here, then replace it with the skin from here. Again, the texture of the skin is not the same. It's a bit smoother here and a bit rougher here. So you need to do it within close proximity of where the imperfection is. So if I'm cleaning out this one, again, you need to be zoomed in as close as possible so that you can just get the imperfection alone. You don't want to make very big selections and mess up the image instead. So I'll pick this one, then drag it just close by. Pick this one, just drag it somewhere here. So the closer you pick the sample, the better the outcome is. So the third method of doing the same is using a clone stamp, and a clone stamp is a tool here. So the clone stamp does is, it's a content aware tool. It works with a brush. You can see the brush at the top here, and all you need to do is you need to sample some skin using Alt and press. So in Alt, I press Alt and click on some place, so it samples the clear skin for me. Then I can use that to paint over the areas with imperfections. So if I sample here, I can paint over this one. It's also the same, it's as effective as the other methods you've seen. So like for example here, if I sample something here, I can use to paint over here. I can sample here and use it to paint over here. Then this, and but I would say for me, it works in some images better than others. So in this image, I would prefer going for the first two options, a patch or a spot healing brush. So with the patch, in this one I find it more effective. Again, it said you don't need to pick them from too far, just need to be close by so that you don't lose the detail on the skin. So with that, I think you are good to go to the next step. So again, our before and our after. So most of the imperfections are done. So now you can head on to the retouch process. So the first one is you need to duplicate the blemish layer, and I do that by pressing Ctrl J. So once I have the duplicates, I'll invert it, and that gives me the real texture of the image. I'll press Ctrl I to do the inversion. So once it's inverted, I'll go to filter, other, then I'll do a high pass. So the high pass enables me to reveal the texture of the skin. So with this, you'd like to go for a higher number to get a proper texture. I'll do a 25. Then I go back to filter. Then this time I pick a blur and a Gaussian blur. Again, the blur will just try to enhance the clarity on the skin. So again, the smaller number is better for the blur. So for me, I'll go with a 4 and press OK. The image doesn't look so good so far. So what I need to do is to reveal the details of what we've done. I need to change the blend mode, and I'll change the blend mode to vivid light, and that will give us the real texture we've added to the image. So unfortunately, as you can see, the effect is all over the place. It's on the hair, it's on the leaf, and we only want it on the face. So to do that, we need to paint out the areas which you don't need. So I'll go to that layer, the blemish copy, then I press Alt on the keyboard, then click on this mask item here. So once I have the mask created, you can see the image goes back to the original, and now I can paint over the areas which I need only. So before you do the paint, you need to reset your colors here, and the default colors are usually black and white. So when you need to cycle between the colors, you can always press X, and that cycles you through. So my colors are reset, and I can pick a brush by pressing B. Then I start painting. You can make your brush bigger if you need it to be bigger by pressing the square bracket or the bracket out. Then for me, I'll paint all over the places where skin is visible. I just do a blanket painting. I just use a brush a little bit. So remember, again, don't do it partially. Should be done on all the areas where the skin is visible, so that the image doesn't look patched up. So I'll do a small touch here and here. And yeah, I would say all the skin is touched up. So if you look at the image, it's a little bit overdone at this point. So you need to clear out some areas. For example, we need to clear out the eyebrows, the eyelashes, the lips, and so on. So I'll switch my colors by pressing X, make my brush a little bit smaller. Then I start cleaning out the areas which should not have the makeup on. So the eyebrows out, the eyelashes out. We need the eyes to be as clear as possible. Then I clear the nostrils a bit. The same with the lips. You don't want anything on the lips at this point. Then any of the retouch which went to the hair also needs to be removed. The hair doesn't need the effect on it. So I'll clean up the parts with the hair. Same applies to this side. So I only want the effect to remain on the skin alone. So just in case it went through here, no, it didn't go through here. Then I'll also clean this strand. And generally that will be it. So if you look at it, at least now it doesn't look smudged over. Then if you feel the effect is too much, you can always come to the layer, which is this one, and try to reduce the opacity of the layer. So for example, if we do a 60, looks good. And that's how we retouch an image. The advanced methods will use tools like burn and dodge. It's a longer process and achieves a better result than this one. So we'll do one more image which is a little bit faster. I'll just drag and drop an image here. This one will be a quick one. So just run through the process again and see what we've done. So in this case, I'll zoom in again to see if there's any imperfection on the skin. And in this one, there are only a few of them. There's one here. So I can do it using the patch tool. Just come select it, then drag it, and it's gone. There's another little one here. Do the same thing. And that's the advantage of the patch tool. You can always pick even the tiniest bit like this one and replace it. So it doesn't smudge unless you make a huge selection. And we are done with the first part of the retouch. So second part is I'll add a filter, then a camera raw filter. So I'd like to readjust the lighting a little bit. Maybe on my case, I'll make the image a little bit cold. It's too warm for me. So in that case, I'll adjust the color temperature. Just throw in some more white, especially on the cardigan. So you can see it's turned a little bit more white. Then I'll also make the hair darker by adding a little bit of blacks. Then I throw some extra light by balancing the highlights. And with that, I'm done with the color correction. This is our before and this is our after. So once I'm done with that, I duplicate the layer, which is Ctrl J. Then on the duplicated layer, I'll invert it, which is Ctrl I. I'll change my blend mode to vivid light. I go to filter, other, high pass, and this one I'll do a 23. Then go back to filter, then blur and Gaussian blur, and yeah, this one can remain at 4. I won't change that one. So we do have our image. I'll create a mask by pressing Alt and the mask tool. Then I'll get my brush, make sure my color white is on top, then start painting. I make my brush a little bit bigger. So the same thing like we've done the same thing like we've done with the other one. I'll just paint over random anywhere where we have the scheme. Then I'll come and clean up later on. So once I'm done with that, I'll invert my colors by pressing X. Then I'll zoom in to do the cleanup. So of course I need a smaller brush in this case. Then I'll clean up the eyebrows. I'll do the cleanup on the eyes and the eyelashes. So we need this to remain as clear as possible. I'll clean up the nostrils a little bit. Then with the lips, I do the same. They need to be as sharp as possible. I'll clean up the nails here. We don't want these ones touched. The ears, we don't want them touched in case they are touched by the brush. Clean up the hairline a little bit. I do a little bit on the fingers here. You don't want them looking smudgy. Then with the jewelry here, the same thing. You just try to clean it up so that it retains its shininess. So the next step is you need to reduce the opacity and get the proper blend on it. So I'll go the way down to a 70. That looks good to me. And there we have it. So here is our before, a little bit rough, and this is our after, a little bit more modified. So thank you for watching this. We'll do more effects in the next video.